Hello and welcome back to the Crypto Club podcast. Gons and Hobo, as always,
Yes,
bringing you
sir.
another episode.
Welcome, welcome. It's good to be back. It's been quite the week in crypto. Um,
Oh, it's
we've
been crazy.
it has we've seen quite the nice little rally here with Bitcoin hovering around almost 21,000, just bouncing off of it right here, as you can see. That's coming from a recent low of around 18.3 thousand. ETH is doing even better, sitting at around 1550. After crabbing in the 11 to 1300 range for around a month. So it's nice to see some juice in the markets after quite a while. And also just taking a brief look at stocks here. The Dow Jones has had quite the rally. You compare that to the Nasdaq, looking a little more flimsy here. But we've seen companies such as like Meta, for example, also known as Facebook, losing so much valuation so quickly. And, those are such a huge part of that tech heavy NASDAQ. So that's really bringing that down quite a bit. But overall, still up almost 3% on the day, which is quite a lot. But just compared to like the Dow Jones, not looking as good. If we take a sec, look at some other alts here. See, we've got ADA around 40 cents. This is underperforming the market pretty badly right now. You can see it's even lower, or it actually fell lower than that day when we had the big wick down on the first moves from Russia. It's just coming back up to retest that resistance. We'll see what happens here. And yeah, good to see some action and volatility back in the crypto markets. We were hovering around the same range for probably a month and a half. It's getting kind of boring. So, nice to see some excitement.
Yeah, some volatility and some movement. Definitely, definitely nice. Because past few months have been mostly sideways, a little bit of a downtrend, but seems like we're finally kind of breaking through that, at least short term anyway.
For sure. Looking at the Bitcoin chart, of course, this is not financial advice, but, we're bouncing off, or not quite off, but we are staying slightly above this trend line that goes all the way back to, let's see, what is this? Right around December of 2018, January of 2019. This trend line is still holding. I'd be really surprised if we broke that personally, but of course, anything can happen. Crypto is still a very new and emerging market. People said we would never go below the previous cycle's all-time high, and that is exactly what we did. So, yeah, we will see what happens, but kind of a breath of fresh air for the first time in a while in markets across the board. But moving on to our first story here, talking about Google introducing cloud-based blockchain node service for Ethereum. So the move highlights the growing attention that technology giants are paying to blockchain, crypto, and Web3 projects. Tech giant Google said Thursday it will be launching a cloud-based node engine for Ethereum projects. The company said its Google Cloud Blockchain Node Engine will be a fully managed node hosting service that can minimize the need for node operations, meaning that Google will be responsible for monitoring node activity and restarting them during outages. A node is a type of computer that runs a blockchain software to validate and store the history of transactions on a blockchain's network. At the time of launch, Google will be supporting only Ethereum nodes. So Google's announcement signifies the growing attention that blockchain technology giants are giving towards blockchain, crypto, and Web3 projects. Blockchain is changing the way the world stores and moves its information, Google said in its announcement. Earlier this month, Google formed a partnership with crypto exchange Coinbase to provide crypto payments for its cloud services. In September, Google Cloud and BNB Chain announced a partnership to support the growth of early-stage Web3 startups. In addition, Google announced in January that it was building a digital assets team for Google Cloud, showing its commitment to building Web3 projects. I think this is super cool, seeing Google start to provide, Web3 services. Node services are very important for developers. It's not likely something that you're going to see your average consumer looking into or needing so much. However, almost all crypto projects need some form of node service. I know the node service industry is very competitive as far as the speed for nodes, so it'll be interesting to see how Google performs in relativity to the other competitors, as well as their pricing.
Yeah, I mean, the important takeaway here, whether you're a developer or just an average, crypto enthusiast, is Google is entering the space, right? Google has their eyes on it, and they're looking to invest and provide for the cryptocurrency industry. So that's something not to, lightly read and just say, oh, okay. It's like, whoa, right? Google is playing ball here. So, it'd be very interesting to see if they develop anything else in the future, if they get, more serious into blockchain technology as time goes on. But this is a huge first step for them, and a really good sign for crypto adoption, period.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, Google is one of the largest tech companies, and they're talking about wanting to support early Web3 startups. I think that is huge and could play out very well for Google in the long term. We all believe in the future of cryptocurrency and Web3. So for Google to be getting involved in early startups, I believe is going to be massive, as well as help, those push those startups forward with all the resources that I'm sure Google has to offer, as well as their funding, of course. And yeah, I'm honestly kind of surprised that they partnered with Coinbase. I guess Coinbase is one of the more heavily regulated exchanges, so it makes sense in that aspect. But from what I know, Coinbase isn't performing particularly well.
I mean, at least it's a positive for Coinbase, right? I mean, they've necessarily been one of the more unfavorable exchanges as of late, with decisions they've made and policy changes and stuff like that. Like, it really seems like they're kind of out of touch with, the current crypto markets, but this is kind of some good news for them.
For sure. Um, you know, I missed the announcement personally. I didn't hear about this, but it's saying in September, Google Cloud and BNB Chain announced a partnership. I know Binance just recently announced they're investing, what was it, like 500 million into DeFi or something like that.
Yeah, I've
Binance
seen.
definitely has their head screwed on straight as far as their analysis of DeFi and kind of what they stand for. At least in my opinion. So I think that will also be good for both Google and Binance.
Oh, definitely. And CZ has publicly stated on Twitter that he's got his eyes on DeFi and he's investing in DeFi projects and stuff like that. So really cool to see that.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll get on to our next article here, talking about Dogecoin up 9%, doing a ton of volume after Elon Musk's Twitter takeover. So let's just take a second to pull that chart up because I know it's probably doing even more today. Oh yeah, so sitting at 8.3 cents. I mean, you can see within the last, what is this, 4 days, it jumped from just around 6 cents up to peaking at nearly 9 cents. So, I mean, that's what, 30% gain in 4 days. I mean, that is pretty big. We're also seeing some of the biggest volume that we've seen since April of 2022. So, definitely making some pretty big moves for Dogecoin. It's finally breaking out of this 200-day moving average that it's been stuck underneath since November of 2021. Yeah, and usually Dogecoin performing well signifies a run in the kind of smaller meme coin industry too. And that's kind of what we've been seeing personally within the last few weeks, last month. I feel like that industry can kind of be attributed to retail's overall feeling of the markets, right? Because, generally speaking, like the very small cap DeFi space, the suits aren't really there yet, right? Like they're not trading around those tokens that are under a million market cap. It's pretty much all just retail and people, that like to play around in DeFi. So, typically when those tokens are performing well, it seems like that's the overall view of retail of the market at the moment. We've been seeing things heat up for past few weeks at least. Now markets are starting to turn around a bit. We've got Dogecoin performing exceptionally well. And yeah, I think there's definitely some conclusions to be drawn there. But
Surely, especially when you see, like, retail buy pressure, and you usually see it either on like a newsworthy event for, Bitcoin or Ethereum or, some kind of altcoin that's that high up, or you see it in like the Doge, the SHIB, those tokens. And that's kind of when you see, okay, retail's kind of got their eyes on the markets. They're just waiting for some kind of catalyst or something. So
Right.
some good signs for possibly what may be a good November for crypto.
For sure. So getting on with this article here, it says, let this sink in. Popular meme coin Dogecoin has jumped over 9% on news that Elon Musk has officially taken ownership of Twitter and fired its top executives on Thursday. As of Friday morning, Doge was the ninth largest cryptocurrency at an 11.5 billion market capitalization and trading at around $0.084, I guess 8.4 cents. At a high it's not seen since August, it's done $3.7 billion in trading volume over the past 24 hours, according to CoinGecko. That is about 40% of this market cap in volume. That is huge.
Huge, massive.
So that means more Doge has changed hands in the past day than Solana or Bitcoin Cash. In fact, the entire meme coin category, as CoinGecko defines it, has risen nearly 10% since yesterday. The only times Doge has done more trading volume this year were when Musk said Tesla would accept the token as payment in January, when he announced that he would buy Twitter, and again when Twitter accepted the bid in April. Musk finalized his $44 billion deal to purchase the social media giant on Thursday, writing on Twitter that the bird is freed. He also changed his bio to Chief of Twit. Anywho, the news about Musk wanting to buy Twitter kicked off wide speculation that he would decentralize the platform, and in doing so, make Doge a currency that would be used to pay for services like Twitter's Blue subscription. The correlation between Musk's fandom of the meme token and its price has been a point of contention. In June, Dogecoin co-creator Jackson Palmer leveled some seemingly damning criticism against the Tesla CEO. He's a grifter. He sells a vision and hopes that he can one day deliver on what he's promising, but he doesn't know that, he told an Australian news outlet. He's just really good at pretending he knows. Later that month, Doge investors filed a $258 billion lawsuit against Musk and his two companies, Tesla and SpaceX. Defendants falsely and deceptively claim that Dogecoin is a legitimate investment when it has no value at all. Keith Johnston wrote in the complaint, seeking class action status to represent other investors who lost money on the token. But neither of those hiccups seems to have dampened enthusiasm for Doge. In June, when the lawsuit was filed, Doge had a $7.5 billion market cap, but it rebounded soon after and is now 47% higher than it was then, according to CoinGecko. Elon has always had quite the sway in the crypto markets. I will say, where we are now versus where we were a year ago or even 2 years ago, his sway is surely less. People within the crypto community, kind of looked up to him as the king of crypto, I guess you could say. More recently, I would say that persona has been given to Vitalik.
It's definitely diminished. It's weird. Like crypto has this love-hate relationship with, like figureheads.
Right.
So they loved Elon for Doge, but then they, tore him down for like a week when they found out that he dumped all his crypto. I think it was back in like June or July, right?
Yeah.
And they like crucified him online basically, and now they love him again
Yeah.
for buying Twitter. And the same thing for Vitalik too. I mean, it's weird. It's like this weird fandom of like love hate against, even, CZ as well, right? People love CZ. He props up DeFi and BNB, but then at the same time they're like, oh, CZ controls all the nodes on Binance Smart
Right.
Chain.
Right.
So it's really funny to see actually.
I
But
know.
yeah, I would
With
say they've definitely lost their, their sway or their influence over the markets to a degree. But then you get events like this that happened this week, and you know, 10% on a top 10 crypto is huge,
for
right?
sure.
So you can argue both ways.
Yeah, and it's kind of touching on them speculating that he would accept Doge for some of Twitter's services. Just from like a business standpoint, I don't know if I would say I see that happening. If he wants to accept Doge for a payment, he either A, is going to hold the Doge and, believes that it will increase in value, or B, he's just going to sell it as soon as he gets it. And it's just a method of payment. You pay him $1 in Doge, they instantly sell the Doge for USD. So really it's a net zero method in that ideology. If he's just, accepting Doge just to sell it, sure, it does add a quote use case for Doge, but it's nothing really tangible, it's just transient.
So yes and no. I mean, when it comes to business, especially at these levels, on a surface level, it's like yes, he could take the Doge that's worth $1 and then sell it for $1, and there's a net of zero. But then, you have to wonder like how much money does Elon have invested in crypto on a personal level, on a business level? What kind of, him adopting any cryptocurrency onto Twitter, that's used by millions and millions and millions of people, like what is that going to do for the crypto space and for him as a whole, in a year or two after he does that, right? Massive.
Yeah,
And then on another level, what kind of marketing, effects would you see from Twitter adopting Doge? I think it would be massive. So, I mean, you would see that all over the news probably.
right.
So, even though it is a net zero on paper, in reality, I think it would be a strategic move. If he's even going that route, knowing Elon, I would say he would do it just for the people. Like, it's something that I think he's talked about before doing, and he's the kind of guy to do it just because he said he was going to do it, even if it financially doesn't benefit him. Although I think it would either way.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, the only thing you can expect with Elon is to expect the unexpected. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, I think that's a good point. It definitely could be a crazy marketing tactic. At the same time, while it can surely go very well for them, it can also go the other way. I mean, we look at Tesla accepting Bitcoin, and in quarter 2 of 2022, they sold 75% of their holdings for a loss.
Yeah.
Um, so things don't always go so well. I think it would be a risky move, but it could surely play off well. Yeah, so that kind of brings us to our next story here. So most scams are happening on this blockchain. Here's what you need to know. So, scams happen all over crypto. And this article just kind of goes into what chain they are most common on. I'm going to take a wild guess and say BNB because it's so popular and so cheap. So, cryptocurrency risk monitoring platform Solidus Labs said that over 10% of tokens showing scam characteristics reside on Binance's native BNB chain. Less than 10% is seen on Ethereum. The research firm announced its real-time on-chain threat intelligence tool on Thursday, saying that it was designed to help anti-money laundering teams address smart contract scams, which the firm described as one of DeFi and Web3's biggest challenges. Solidus Labs AML covers 12 chains, including Ethereum, BNB, and Matic. The company claims that its new risk monitoring technology enables real-time analysis of smart contract scams, as well as an off-chain view of the current state of crypto scams. So far, it has found that 12% of all BNB tokens on the Binance chain exhibit fraudulent characteristics. 8% of all ERC20 tokens on the Ethereum mainnet exhibit fraudulent characteristics. 15 newly deployed scams on average are detected by Solidus Threat Intelligence every hour. 188,525 smart contract scams have been detected on 12 covered blockchains as of October 10th. Wow. So in 18 days, it has discovered 188,525 smart contract scams over 12 chains.
I believe it.
Yeah, me too. But that is just crazy to see it put in those numbers.
It's a huge problem in DeFi. And so there's two layers to this, and you have to understand that the reason that BNB is so up there is also because even though Ethereum has the most volume, Binance Smart Chain is second, right? Solana, AVAX, all those other chains, they have a lower percentage in this study that they found. It was like 2%, 3%. I think the data is a little skewed. It sounds like, the the algorithm or the AI that they created to detect these scams is missing a few, just based on personal experience, right? I
Right.
watch new pairs religiously.
Right.
And I can tell you back in my days when I was watching them on Binance Smart Chain, you can't watch them because there's 20 contracts every minute
Right.
that deploy, and 19 of those are scams always. So I do think the data is a little skewed in that regard. I definitely think that on Binance Smart Chain can see that there's a lot more than 12% of them as scams because it's so cheap to deploy, right? Versus Ethereum, you're depending on gas prices, it sometimes it sometimes is unprofitable for scammers to even deploy a scam contract.
Right.
So that's kind of the nice part of Ethereum and why some people prefer it is it really kind of deters scammers from using it because it's, not a cost effective network in that regard. But it ends up being one of the benefits of Ethereum. So I do believe Ethereum is at 8%. I would actually argue it's probably a little bit higher as of late, just because there's been more volume in Ethereum the past couple months in DeFi. And so we've seen a lot of scammers, especially from BSC, come over to ETH to kind of, harvest that extra volume coming in.
Right.
But Binance is definitely higher up than 12%. I mean, I would argue 25%, and that's like modest.
Yeah. And it says that they are analyzing the smart contract for, identifying these scams. But a common form of scam, the classic rug pull is the developer pulling the liquidity, which, you could have an AOK smart
Contract.
contract that,
Yep.
doesn't appear to be a scam in any sort, and then a day later the developer pulls the liquidity and, he's scammed that way.
Everybody.
And so,
Exactly.
got to
So I
question
think
if they're, counting that
it's like
or,
a it's like a blanket protocol that's basically just scanning for like some kind of hidden mint function or some kind of malicious function built into the contract that is super obvious. But the reality is, like you said, the more common scam approaches are setting sell taxes to 99% so you can't sell the token,
right,
right? That's not a malicious function per se, but it is maliciously used. Or pulling the liquidity, that's not a malicious function, because there are times where you do need to pull the liquidity for whatever reason. I think that they're not detecting these, and they're just detecting the very obvious scams.
right,
And so it's I mean, it's cool to see the comparison across chains, right? But it definitely needs some working on in order to get a more accurate picture of how bad the scams are on in DeFi in general.
for sure. So, per their press release, data released by Solidus reveals that a new token pre-programmed to scam users is created every 4 minutes on average. The illicit funds from these scams often flow through and are potentially laundered via centralized crypto exchanges. It found that the lower bound estimate in today's value of scam-related ETH that flowed through centralized and/or regulated exchanges is $910 million. Scam token smart contracts, it explains, are cryptocurrencies that have been hard coded to steal investors' funds. These can be automatically deployed, but also easily repeated, allowing serial scammers to rapidly execute thousands of small value attacks without raising red flags among regulated exchanges, regulators, and law enforcement, said the company. Smart contract scams are part of a growing list of crypto native market abuse typologies. Others include rug pulls, phishing attacks, and token impersonations. Solidus Vice President of Regulatory Affairs, Kathy Kraninger, was quoted as saying that while some of the big rug pulls and scams make the news, like the famous Squid Games token that's estimated to have cost users around $3 million in lost funds, the full picture stemming from our data shows the vast majority of these scams go unnoticed. Solidus said in its report published on Thursday that its data indicates that more than 188,000 rug pulls have been deployed on Ethereum, BNB chain, and other blockchains, which it said is far more than previous estimates. So you can see rug pulls deployed per year. 2021, they're estimating 82,000. 2022, they're estimating 98,837. I think that number's up not only because of the increase in popularity, but also, the bear market has made people desperate, and some are resorting to unfortunate measures. Meanwhile, as reported, blockchain security company Certic found that rug pulls, a type of theft that occurs when owners of a crypto project flee with the funds collected from their investors, dominated Web3 world-based scams and exploit in August this year, but that the overall number was still lower than in July. So yeah, I think, this is really cool. This is the first time I've seen, an extensive estimation of the totality of scams in crypto. Looking back 3 years here, it says in 2019 there were 7 rug pulls. I don't know about that. That's got to be
Whoa.
underestimated.
Grossly.
Yeah, sure, they are extremely common now. But for there to be 7 in 2019, 8 in 2018, and 7 in 2017, that does not seem realistic to me. And there's all sorts of different types of rug pulls. So I wish that they kind of, explained what they characterized as a rug pull within the, sort of scanning technology that they have. Maybe they go into deeper detail on that in their documents or something.
Perhaps. I mean, you can infer just by, again, the word choice that they use, that it's, hard-coded scams,
Right.
which is, exactly what you said. So that, that's just malicious code, which, again, a majority of scams are not. They're malicious intentions.
For sure.
So it's one of those things that crypto is so new, and a lot of these companies don't know the intricacies of the space yet. It'd be nice if they had, consulted some kind of, expert in the DeFi space that could show them, different ways of spotting scams. And I mean, there's even some places where you can see, every new token that's been deployed on a chain, you can see what the current result is. Has liquidity been pulled? What's the price look like,
Right.
etc. So, I mean, again, there's different ways to scam. There's, tokens that may have a mint function, and that mint function may be intended to, mint tokens as rewards for staking, but the deployer may mint, 1 billion tokens, and the supply is only 10,000, and then he sells them all for the entire liquidity pool. So stuff like that happens all too often in DeFi. But
Yeah.
it's nice to see it's getting attention. It definitely needs to be refined, which over time I'm sure it will be.
For sure. Then there's like the, airdrops where they just airdrop supply to other wallets, and at a face value doesn't look like a scam, could look completely safe, but, these airdrop wallets are just draining liquidity in other ways. So, really, there are so many ways that something can be a scam. You look into the Safe Moon saga, there's a lot of fishy things that went on with that, but, that, I want to say it reached what, like 3 billion market cap or something.
Yeah, it went crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been getting a little bit of light recently just amongst the crypto community, but at least amongst regulators, it seems they've turned a blind eye for now, for whatever reason. Yeah, very cool article here. You definitely, it takes experience to dodge the scams. And yeah, we'll get on to our next article here, talking about Team Finance losing $14.5 million to smart contract bug exploit. So, for those that don't know, Team Finance is a very popular liquidity locker in DeFi. So essentially, going back to the article we just talked about, where a token's liquidity may be pulled, the liquidity of a token is essentially the funds that are dedicated for the token to be traded. So say, for example, you have 1 Bitcoin and $20,000 in ETH, and those are in the liquidity pool. That Bitcoin is worth $20,000. If someone buys half a Bitcoin for $10,000, there's now half a Bitcoin and $30,000 in the pool. So that half Bitcoin is now worth $30,000. Anyways, so that liquidity needs to be locked within a smart contract for it to be deemed completely safe. Otherwise, the developer has access to the liquidity and it can be drained at any time, essentially stealing investors' funds. So Team Finance, a Web3 infrastructure platform enabling businesses to secure tokens, suffered a hack that resulted in the loss of assets worth $14.5 million on October 27th, the firm tweeted. Blockchain analysis and security firm PeckShield estimated that the hacker made off with $15.8 million worth of cryptocurrencies. Team Finance said in a Twitter thread that the attacker exploited the flawed V2 to V3 migration feature, which had previously been audited. The hacker used 1.76 Ethereum tokens withdrawn from fixed float to launch the attack. The attacker has kept the entire loot parked in a single wallet. The total loss includes 880 ETH and 6.4 million DAI tokens, among others, according to PeckShield. Team Finance, a product offering of TrustSwap, assured users that the remaining funds on the platform are no longer at risk from the same hacker. However, the platform, which is unsure of the details of the attack, has suspended all activities until all vulnerabilities are fixed. Team Finance has also urged the attacker to contact the team for a bounty payment. The total value locked on Team Finance plunged from $147.03 million to $128.39 million after the attack, according to DeFi Llama data. A lot of that TVL on Team Finance is, locked beyond a user's control at the moment. So, while it looks like $20 million did get shaved off of their TVL, I'm sure that number would have been greater if they were not time locked into that position. Not a good look for Team Finance. I don't think they have come out with a solution so far other than pausing their services. There are some other options to Team Finance within the industry, such as Unicrypt, for example. So, DeFi users are not empty-handed. They do have other options. However, Team Finance is surely a big player, and there are tons of projects that have their liquidity locked in Team Finance.
And to add to that, there's several options besides Unicrypt as well. You have Pink Sale, which you can utilize them. They're primarily a BSC platform, but they recently started locking liquidity for Ethereum tokens. Additionally, DX Sale is similar. Or what we might see in the DeFi space now moving forward is projects burning liquidity, right? The safest thing a project can do, if the founding team is willing to do it, is burning the liquidity, essentially sending it to an address that nobody has any control over, and the liquidity is essentially untouchable from there moving forward, so it can never be scammed or hacked or sold off. So we might start seeing an increase in projects burning liquidity, which for the most part is the safest thing you can do for a project. Although in some cases it's just not realistic to burn, thousands of dollars or millions of dollars either. So
For sure.
give and take. But this is a huge blow for DeFi. You know, one of the biggest criticisms of DeFi is security and safety. And to have a, especially one of the most trusted, liquidity lockers in the whole space get hacked for this amount of money is insane.
Oh, yeah.
Not only that, it just puts a lot of fear into the DeFi space as a whole. There's tons of projects that are locked on Team Finance, and worth noting that the hack itself mainly targeted contracts that were on Uniswap v3, which was the select few. All the Uniswap v2 contracts are safe, so it's not as big of a deal, but obviously this still hurt a lot of big projects, especially over on the v3 side.
Yeah. And Team Finance did say that that contract that was exploited was audited. So unfortunately they did take preventative measures and made sure that their code was seemingly safe. However, whatever third party they used to audit the smart contract obviously did not do as much due diligence as they should have. Just goes to show you can never be too safe in DeFi. There's always something lurking around the corner. I don't think it'll be that way forever. Regulations are on their way. New technologies are being developed. Things are starting to look a lot better, but unfortunately for the time being, you just, you gotta walk on your tippy toes.
Be safe, diversify, and always be cautious.
hmm But yeah, so we'll get on to our next story here, talking about the Swiss bank SEBA now custodies blue chip Ethereum NFTs. SEBA says it's the first regulated bank to offer NFT custody. So, only Ethereum collections, including Bored Ape Yacht Club, will be able to be custodied by the SEBA. The bank became one of the first banks in Switzerland to secure an institutional license to custody digital assets for Swiss-based funds and institutional investors in 2021. Now, SEBA says it's the first regulated bank to offer NFT custody. Both individuals and institutions can hold their non-fungible tokens in their bank accounts and manage them alongside other digital assets such as stablecoins, Bitcoin, and Ether. Via an institutional-grade custody platform, the bank allows safe storage of any client's Ethereum-based NFT without the hassle of managing private keys themselves, SEBA said. The bank will only accept ERC-721 NFTs, the same token standard powering top collections such as the Bored Ape Yacht Club and Clone X. SEBA supports over 16 cryptocurrency and specializes in Bitcoin custody and lending, with a small selection of staking options. SEBA said it's responding to a clear demand for trusted custody solutions. As stated in the press release, this new feature is aimed at institutional investors looking to safeguard their blue chip tokens and include them in the total wealth picture their portfolios represent. The move comes on the heels of a recent brief hype within the NFT market, fueled by Reddit's NFT marketplace, trading volumes, and Azuki's record-setting sales. Indeed, the number of NFT holders keeps growing despite the bear market. I think that banks offering NFT and crypto custody is a, really good option for the normal people who don't want to deal with private phrases and worrying about their crypto wallet. Crypto in general is not the most user-friendly at the moment, but it surely offers some revolutionary technology. So having banks take care of that for your average user, I think is a good move. Crypto, there's an aspect of crypto that's kind of all about unbank yourself. The classic Celsius catchphrase didn't turn out so well for them, unfortunately. But it is true, and there's that aspect of crypto where people want to be in total control of their funds, and for the users that do, that is totally possible through their self-custodied wallet. But there are still plenty of users that would just rather know that they are safe, have someone else do it for them. And if the SEBA bank is as fully regulated as it says, it makes me think, they may have some federally backed insurance, similarly to how banks in the United States operate. But, of course, I'm not that familiar with a Swiss bank or their banking infrastructure, but if they have, similar insurance policies on their crypto custodied holdings, I think that could be huge.
Exactly. And what it boils down to essentially is options, right? So crypto, even though it's, Hail Married as the decentralized, land that everybody wishes for one day, part of that is giving people options. So, if personally somebody owns, 5 Bored Apes and they really believe in the project, but they're scared to death of all these scams and news stories that there's constantly people getting scammed for their NFTs and stuff.
Right.
And there's a bank that's willing to hold it for you and insure it. For most people, that's almost a no-brainer. So I like to see that the space is growing and evolving, especially when we're talking about things like, regulated banks potentially insuring, crypto assets. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all for that. I think that's an awesome move, and it'll definitely benefit a lot of holders. And who knows, maybe it seems like it said that they support 16 different cryptocurrencies. So that's really cool as well. You can probably stake your Ethereum or your Bitcoin, with them as well.
I think that this is a move we'll start to see many banks take on. I wonder how long it'll be until that is ready in the United States. it seems to be a no-brainer for banks that want to keep up to date with, the ever-changing financial sector. Regulatorily wise, sure, it is a gray area, and there definitely needs to be some work done there for, institutions to really know how to navigate their way through doing such things. But I think it's definitely a future that is far more than likely.
Definitely. And it makes sense, right? That's the biggest takeaway is this has been a long time coming and we're gonna see more of it.
Right. Yeah, no, totally agree with you there. We'll get on to our last story here. So, Telegram launches username auction using TON blockchain. Users of the privacy forward messaging service can bid on rare handles or sell their own. The popular instant messaging service Telegram launched its marketplace for Telegram handles on Thursday. This will enable Telegram handles, comprising both usernames and channels, to be bought and sold using Toncoin, explained Telegram in a press release. Toncoin, TON, is the token of the Open Network, which is the spiritual successor to Telegram's independent blockchain ambitions, thwarted by federal regulators 2 years ago. The auction is being hosted on Fragment.com, a dedicated, detached website for users wishing to participate. From here, users can search for and purchase 3 to 4 character domains, auction their existing handles, and bind pre-bought handles to off-chain accounts. Telegram will initially post 4 to 5 character handles for auction, the lesser of which can be bought for a minimum of 126 Toncoin or $200. Some of the highest value auctions live right now are for handles like bank, casino, and auto, all with minimum bids above 30,000 Ton. In many cases, the initial price will decrease every day if no one places a bid higher than the minimum bid. For the first time, social media users will be able to transparently prove that they own their handles thanks to their tokenization on the Ton blockchain, said Andrew Rogozov, founding member of the Ton Foundation. The marketplace is built over the Open Network, a blockchain that completed a similar auction for domain and wallet names in August. At the time, the sale generated 2,392,000 Toncoin in sales, cumulatively worth over $3 million. Telegram CEO Pavel Durov was inspired by its success, which has culminated in the company's latest endeavor. In his personal channel, the CEO teased bringing a little bit of Web3 to Telegram using NFT-like smart contracts. Telegram listed several reasons for launching the auction via Ton. Not only does it offer more scalable transactions than Ethereum, but it is also the spiritual successor of the Telegram Open Network. The developers at Telegram are intimately familiar with the programming language, said the company. For context, Telegram was sued by the Securities and Exchange Commission in 2020 for allegedly conducting a $1.7 billion unregistered security sale through its Gram tokens. As part of a settlement deal, the SEC compelled the company to forfeit control of the blockchain to its community in 2020, thus creating the open network of today. This very interesting saga with the whole SEE thing. A $1.7 billion ICO is insane. That's a lot of money. But Telegram is a massive platform, so I'm not that surprised. This is the first I'm hearing of the Ton coin as well.
Me too.
I think it's a very cool move by Telegram, though, to let people own their handles, as that is its own kind of niche market, right? Like people will reserve domains, reserve handles on social media accounts, and then sell them. It's a popular thing to do. I know when the Ethereum name service first came out, where you can kind of get your own Ethereum domain. I know a couple people that were just minting a ton of domains that they thought would be popular, and some of them are going for thousands of dollars.
Yes, they're doing quite well. And if history is any indication of how this will do, I think it's going to work out really well for Telegram and for Ton.
Right.
And like you mentioned, I've never even heard of Ton until now.
Yes, I'm just going to pull up the chart real quick on TradingView. Toncoin. Wow. Not sure what this is all about, but it went from 1.95 up to $6 for like maybe a day on, what day is this? April 22nd. That's interesting. Other than that, it's been pretty stable around See $1 to $2 here. Doing good recently, presumably off of the Telegram news. Yeah, good move by Telegram. I wonder, with Instagram incorporating Web3 and presumably Facebook sometime soon, if this will be a route that they take as well. A lot of these platforms could charge a fee on the buying and selling of these handles, and that would just allow them to capitalize on that market that already exists, as well as, make it more safe for the people conducting business in it. And that wraps up this week's Crypto Club. Hope you all have a lovely day, lovely next week. This has been the CoinScan team coming at you as always. We just released a major update. Things are a lot more smooth over here at CoinScan. Working as always. Make sure to join our Telegram. Make sure to check out our Discord, website, and other socials. They will all be in the description. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.